Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am also on Cash App and Venmo at the Joey Harris, as well as, don't forget, folks, patreon.com/babykangaroomedia for all things Joey Harris, with bonus shows and more. And folks, right here at the top, I wanted to send out my condolences on the loss of some wrestling people the last few weeks. First of all, I wanted to say rest in peace to former NWA champion Jax Dane. I forgot to include him last week, but I did want to acknowledge his passing a few weeks ago, as well as Black Bart. This past week, he had cancer for a long time and had decided to stop treatments, and his wife had sent out a message that he had passed away. And just as I was about to record this, about a day beforehand, we learned that former ECW manager in the early days, Hunter Q. Robbins III, had passed away. So I just want to send out my condolences to their friends and fans and family. Folks, today we look at Survivor Series 1994 from the WWF. The 1994 Survivor Series was shown on pay-per-view on November the 23rd, 1994 from the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas. There were 10,000 in attendance. They showed the teams preparing for the event. Bob Holly defeated Quang with Harvey Whippleman in a dark match. We start out with our intro. Vince McMahon welcomes us to the Survivor Series. He and Gorilla Monsoon will be the announcers for the event. And this is the last pay-per-view call for Gorilla. They run down what we are going to see at the event. The Teamsters Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Owen Hart, Jim Neidhart, and Jeff Jarrett versus the Bad Guys, Razor Ramon, the British Bulldog, the 1-2-3 Kid, and the Head Shrinkers Fatu and Sione with Alpha and Captain Lou Albano. The teams confer. It takes a while to get started. Kid and Hart start. They don't lock up, and Neidhart tagged in. Neidhart with a shoulder block. Kid with a drop kick. Neidhart with a slam. Jarrett tagged in. He beats Kid down in the corner. Kid comes back with a spin kick. Sione tagged in. He gets a press slam on Jarrett. Jarrett comes back with a shot. Back and forth. Jarrett with the top rope clothesline for a 2 count. Hart tagged in. Bulldog also tagged into a big pop. Bulldog with a wrist lock. They trade moves. Hart catapulted into the face's corner. Bulldog with a press slam. He gets a sunset flip for a 2 count. Hart with an enziguri. Neidhart tagged in. Double clothesline to Bulldog. They tried a second time, and Bulldog gets the double clothesline. Bulldog with a delayed suplex to Neidhart. Fatu tagged in and hits a diving headbutt. He goes to take his boot off. Jarrett tagged in. Fatu hits a power slam. Ramon tagged in. Jarrett taunts the crowd. They lock up. He takes Ramon down. They trade moves. Jarrett takes Ramon down again. Jarrett with a side headlock. Ramon gets out and clotheslines Jarrett to the outside. He gets back in. Another side headlock. Ramon comes back with a fallaway slam. Kid tagged in, and Ramon slams him on Jarrett for a 2 count. Jarrett with an abdominal stretch. Jarrett grabs the ropes, but gets caught. Kid reverses the move, and Jarrett hip locks him to the outside. Kid brought back inside by Jarrett and hits an enziguri. Hart and Fatu tagged in. Owen hits a spinning heel kick for a 2 count. Back and forth. Fatu attacks Hart, but he had tagged Diesel in. Fatu gets clotheslined and jackknifed to get pinned. Kid in. He attacks Diesel, and Diesel slams and jackknifes Kid to pin him. Sione in and clotheslines Diesel. Diesel with a jackknife to pin Sione. He looks to tag Michaels, who isn't there. Bulldog in, and he attacks Diesel. Diesel hits a big boot to knock Bulldog to the outside. Jarrett and Hart attack Bulldog on the outside, and it appears he's been counted out. Ramon attacks Diesel. They trade shots. Diesel knocked down. He hits a second rope Bulldog for a 2 count. Diesel with a short arm clothesline. He hits Snake Eyes. He tells Ramon to get up. Ramon clothesline down. Ramon with a scoop slam. He signals for the razor's edge. Diesel counters with a backdrop. Diesel with a big boot. Diesel hits the jackknife. Michaels tagged in. Michaels tells Diesel to grab Ramon to set up for the super kick. Ramon moves, and Diesel gets hit instead. Michaels yells at Diesel. Diesel gets back up and screams at Michaels. He pushes off his other teammates. Michaels backs off down the aisle, and Diesel follows, stalking Michaels. He takes out the other teammates trying to stop him. The referee counts the entire team out. Razor Ramon is the sole survivor. Todd Pettengill interviews Shawn Michaels. Michaels says he's done with Diesel. He throws his tag team title away. He is leaving and takes off in a rental car. Vince and Gorilla talk about what just happened. The Royal Family. Jerry Lawler, Cheesy, Queasy, and Sleazy versus Clowns Are Us. Doink the Clown, Dink, Wink, and Pink. Lawler and Doink start. A Burger King chant goes out. They lock up. Doink with an enziguri. Lawler comes back and tries the enziguri, but Doink ducks the move. Doink with an arm stretcher as the little people do a series of little man spots. Lawler with a wrist lock. Lawler yells at his team when they mess up. Doink with a scoop slam. Hits a series of slams. Lawler comes back with a slam. A total comedy match with Lawler being frustrated. Doink with an arm drag and an arm bar. Dink puts a Burger King crown on Lawler. More comedy spots. Doink and Lawler lock up. Lawler hits Doink with something to knock Doink down. His partners choke Doink on the second rope. Doink reverses an Irish whip and runs Lawler into his team. Lawler reverses a crossbody and pins Doink with a handful of tights. Queasy and Dink in. Queasy with an armbar. Cheesy and Wink tagged in. Wink grabs Cheesy's goatee. Dink tagged in. Lawler helps Cheesy pin Wink. Pink in with Sleazy. Heels quick tagging. Cheesy pins Pink with Lawler's help. Dink in. He slams Sleazy and takes on all the other wrestlers. More cheating by Lawler's team, and Dink is pinned. The Royal Family are the survivors. Lawler berates the team and says he did it all himself. He gangs up on his team. The little clowns help the others, and they all chase Lawler. He takes off down the aisle, and Doink hits Lawler in the face with a pie. Todd Pettengill updates us that Bull Nakano has defeated Alundra Blaze in the Egg Dome to become the new WWF Women's Champion. Pettengill then tries to interview Nakano, but she only speaks Japanese. Submission match for the WWF Championship. Bret Hart with the British Bulldog versus Bob Backlund with Owen Hart. The only way to win is to have your opponent's second throw in the towel. Backlund and Owen out first. They show Bret and Owen's parents in the crowd. Bret gets a great reception when he comes out. He does his sunglasses presentation. The belt is presented. The bell rings and Backlund rushes Bret, who scoop slams Backlund. Bret with a series of arm drags. Backlund bails out to regroup. He comes back in and Bret continues the assault. He gets a side headlock. Backlund comes back with a side suplex. Back and forth. Bret with a chin lock. Into a side headlock takeover. Backlund struggles to get out. He gets to his feet. Backlund with a drop toe hold and goes for the crossface chicken wing, but Bret gets to the ropes. A series of reversals. Bret with a top wrist lock. Backlund with a counter. Bret with a belly-to-belly suplex. Into an abdominal stretch. Backlund powers out. Bret with a series of forearms. He misses a second rope elbow drop. Backlund works on Bret's arm. He follows it up with a corner whip. Bret gets to the ropes before Backlund can get the chicken wing on. Backlund gets an armbar on. Bret gets out, but Backlund knocks him outside. Backlund follows, and Bret nails him and throws him back in. Backlund with a headbutt, and he goes back to the armbar. Bret with a slam, but Backlund doesn't let go. A Let's Go Bret chant goes out. Bret with a neck breaker to Backlund. Backlund goes back to the armbar. He stomps on the arm and then goes back to the armbar. Bret with an inverted atomic drop. Bret gets a figure four on. Owen won't throw the towel in. Backlund finally reverses the hold. Bret reverses back, but Backlund gets to the ropes. Bret works over Backlund's leg. Backlund has trouble standing. Bret goes for the sharpshooter, but can't get it on yet. Backlund hits a sloppy-looking pile driver. Backlund goes for the chicken wing, but Bret gets to the ropes. Backlund with a knee lift. He follows it up with a neck breaker. He gets a pair of corner whips. Backlund misses a corner charge when Bret moves. Bret with a backdrop. Backlund with a sleeper. Bret pulls down to run Backlund into a ring post. They collide and both men are down. Bret hits a pile driver. He then hits a bulldog. He follows it up with a side Russian leg sweep. Then a backbreaker and a second rope elbow drop. Bret puts the sharpshooter on. Owen gets the British Bulldog to chase him into the ring to distract referee Earl Hebner. This allows Owen to bulldog Bret down. Davey Boy chases Owen, who drops down, and Davey Boy runs into the ring steps and is knocked out. Brett comes over and Backlund gets the crossface chicken wing on. It is locked on tight. Brett is trying to get out. Owen appears to be upset about the situation. Davey Boy is knocked out cold. Stu and Helen Hart looking on, worried. Brett tries to get to his feet. Backlund pulls him right back down. Owen comes over and begs his parents to help and that he didn't want this to happen. He begs them to throw in the towel. Brett refuses to surrender. He tries to break the hold. Owen continues to plead with his parents. He brings them to the ring. He begs them. This goes on way too long. A "Let's Go Brett" chant goes out. Helen finally throws the towel in. Backlund is the new WWF champion. Owen grabs the towel and takes off down the aisle. Everyone is stunned. Brett is helped out of the ring as the crowd boos. Backlund puts the title on himself and celebrates while the crowd boos. Todd Pettengill interviews Owen Hart. He reveals that it was a setup all along and everyone fell for it. Vince and Gorilla talk about what just happened. The $1 Million Team, Tatanka, Bam Bam Bigelow, King Kong Bundy, and the Heavenly Bodies, Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey, with Ted DiBiase and Jim Cornette versus Guts and Glory, Lex Luger, Adam Bomb, the Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart, and Mabel with Oscar. Luger and Tatanka start. Tatanka jumps Luger. He beats Luger down. He chops Luger in the corner. Tatanka with a suplex. Luger comes back with a bulldog and some clotheslines. Luger cleans house. Mabel and Pritchard tagged in. Mabel slams Pritchard down. Pritchard with a series of shots. Mabel with a backdrop and a splash to get the pin. Del Rey in and Mabel sidewalk slams Del Rey. Bundy tagged in. He pushes Mabel. Mabel with a series of shoulder blocks to knock Bundy down. Bigelow tagged in. Mabel knocks Bigelow down. He goes up top, but gets caught and slammed off. Bigelow with a sunset flip attempt, but Mabel drops down. Both go outside on a clothesline. Mabel strikes his head on the apron and gets counted out. Billy in against Del Rey. Billy with a back elbow. Billy bridges out of a cover. Bomb and Bigelow tagged in. Bigelow ducks a clothesline attempt, but Bomb hits a slingshot. Bundy hits Bomb and Bigelow hits Bomb with a moonsault to get the pin. Luger enters and beats Bigelow down. Del Rey comes in and hits a knee drop. He beats Luger down. He chokes Luger on the second rope. He beats on Luger in the corner. Luger with a forearm shot to pin Del Rey. Tatanka and Bart tagged in. Bart drops kicks Tatanka for a 2 count. Billy tagged in and got a 2 count. Bart tagged back in. He gets Tatanka down. Smoking Guns with several quick tags. Bart and Tatanka fight in the corner. Billy goes in and hits a drop kick. Vince McMahon, if I can be blunt for a minute, just shits on a point that Gorilla is making and then says the same thing in a different way. Tatanka flipped out of the corner. Billy hits the Famouser for a 2 count. Bart enters and goes for a crucifix, but Tatanka hits a fallaway slam to pin Bart. Billy is in with a clothesline. Luger tagged in. He and Billy quick tagging to trying to keep Tatanka down. Billy gets a 2 count. Billy with a series of 2 counts. Luger in with a slam. Billy with the left shoulder for another 2 count. Tatanka gets Billy down and Bundy tagged in. He misses an elbow drop when Billy moves. Bundy does hit the avalanche to pin Billy. Luger all alone. A USA chant goes out. Bundy beats Luger down. Bigelow tagged in. Luger gets Bigelow down. Tatanka tagged in and Luger got a 2 count on Tatanka. Luger with a sunset flip, but Tatanka tags Bigelow in. He gets Luger down and Bundy tagged in. Bundy with an elbow for a 2 count. Tatanka tagged in. Back and forth. Tatanka kicks Luger. He chokes Luger on the second rope. Bigelow tagged in and hit a falling headbutt for a 2 count. Bundy tagged in. He drops an elbow for a 2 count. Tatanka tagged in and slammed Luger for a 2 count. Tatanka with a series of moves but can't get the pin. Luger gets a quick roll up and pins Tatanka only to immediately get splashed and pinned by Bundy. Survivors King Kong Bundy and Bam Bam Bigelow. They continue to beat Luger after the match. Adam Bomb and the Smoking Guns come to run the heels off. All 10 wrestlers from the match are out, and Mabel takes out the Heavenly Bodies. Todd Pettengill interviews Bob Backlund. Backlund is his usual self, and a little of that goes a long way with me. Vince and Gorilla then talk about what Backlund just said. Main event casket match. The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette. Chuck Norris is introduced as the special troubleshooting referee. Yoko and company out first. Undertaker and Bearer get a tremendous ovation when they come out. Bearer rolls the casket down. It takes a while to get started. Undertaker points that Yokozuna is going into the casket. He attacks Yoko. Back and forth, and Undertaker is no-selling Yoko's offense. Yokozuna falls out on the casket and quickly rolls out. They fight on the outside, and Yoko ran into the ring steps. Back in, Undertaker with throat thrust. He does old school. Yoko comes back with a Samoan drop. Yoko keeps dropping Undertaker, who keeps getting up. Yoko goes to pull Undertaker into the casket, but Undertaker fights back. He knocks Yoko down. They trade blows. Undertaker with a big side slam and a leg drop. Yoko goes to put Undertaker in the casket. Undertaker stops the lid from being closed. Undertaker with a throat thrust, and both are in the casket fighting. Fuji comes over and grabs Undertaker, who goes after Fuji. Cornette goes to hit the Undertaker with the racket, but Undertaker hits Cornette. Yoko slams Undertaker. He knocks him to ringside. Yoko keeps the attack up. He beats Undertaker down in the corner. Undertaker fights back. Yoko with the corner whip. Undertaker comes back with a clothesline. Yokozuna slammed down. Undertaker with the top rope clothesline. Undertaker tries to roll Yokozuna towards the casket. King Kong Bundy comes down. Norris gets ready. The officials stop Bundy. Bam Bam Bigelow also comes down. A Go Chuck Go chant goes out. While everyone is distracted, IRS comes in and attacks Undertaker. He puts a sleeper on Undertaker. Undertaker thrown into the casket, and IRS leaps through the crowd. Yokozuna tries to get up and to close the casket. He grabs the lid, and Undertaker grabs Yoko's throat. Jeff Jarrett comes down, and Norris kicks him down. Undertaker with throat thrust to Yokozuna. Flying chokeslam and DDT to Yoko. Big boot knocks Yokozuna into the casket. Undertaker throws the Japanese flag in and closes the casket to win. Undertaker and Paul Bearer do their routine and celebrate as they sign off from San Antonio. Final thoughts. This wasn't a bad show. Things are going in a different direction for the WWF in the next week. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at The Joey Harris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.